Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. So House Speaker Kevin McCarthy trying to balance a government shutdown and a full impeachment inquiry. The Biden administration's Justice Department is continuing its pursuit of former President Donald Trump. 91 counts, 4 indictments. This is all going on while everything else goes on. And joining us now is a member of the Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government and member of the Judiciary Committee, Wyoming Congresswoman Harriet Hagerman. It's so nice to have you in studio. We're also, of course, rejoined by Rick Grinnell.
We're so
excited. It is so nice to meet you. We appreciate you being with us this morning. And I want to catch everybody up on a statement you released after McCarthy announced the inquiry just last week. You said, quote, that an impeachment inquiry is a serious undertaking and there are serious reasons for doing this. As a member of Judiciary, I look forward to being heavily involved throughout the process. You are somebody who will be very involved in anything that happens moving forward. Where do you think this leads?
Well, I think that we need to follow the facts, and I don't want to jump ahead of anything, but the reality is that there is a lot of information and evidence that has come forward related to how Hunter Biden has not only compromised his father, but has compromised the best interests of the United States of America. You know, and it's something that I've said is that it's one thing to be a Nepo baby and maybe get a job because of who your mom or dad are in a mid-level law firm somewhere. It's another thing to compromise the best interest and the national policy and national security of the United States of America because of the corruption of the Biden family. That's where we are. The point I keep making is that Hunter Biden had no skill set to sell. He wasn't an expert on Ukrainian employment law. He didn't have an expertise in oil and gas in the Black Sea. What he had to sell was access to his father. And why that's relevant today is to what extent is our national policy and our national security being compromised by the deals that he cut and his contracts and agreements with the Chinese Communist Party, Ukraine, Romania, Kazakhstan, all of these malign countries.
Yeah. I want to ask you about your colleagues, because I think the focus that so many of us have is on Republicans and like whether or not they're going to look at the evidence and follow the evidence. But what about Democrats? Have you talked to any of your colleagues who are Democrats who are uncomfortable with what we're finding?
Not yet. And by that, what I mean is I'm not sure that they're comfortable yet.
Even on Judiciary?
Even on Judiciary. What you find on these committees is anytime something gets uncomfortable for a Democrat, the Democrats deflect. They what about Donald Trump? What about this? What about that? That isn't the question. This isn't whataboutism. This is about actually following the evidence and bringing in the witnesses, showing the documents. Our jury is the American public. We need to present this evidence to them so that they understand the level of corruption of the Biden family. Over 20 sham companies where they poured money from one bucket to another bucket to another bucket to another bucket. Over $20 million was paid to Hunter Biden as part of the alleged work that he was doing around the world while his father was vice president. But then you get to the current day, we had the Chinese Communist Party sending a balloon that traversed the entire length and breadth of our country.
Yeah, we finally shot it down when it was over the Atlantic Ocean.
When it was over the Atlantic Ocean.
South Carolina. And you think about the shell corporations. When I heard the shell companies, and there's 20 that the Biden family, Biden Inc., because we're talking about a total of 9 family members at least that are involved in this kickback scandal. I didn't even know what a shell corporation is. The average American has no idea what that is. The big guys involved in almost 20. And you look at Burisma. So this is this Ukrainian energy company. Hunter Biden was making $1 million a year. As soon as Joe Biden is no longer vice president, they cut his pay and eventually get rid of he and Devin Archer off the board because there was no more access to the big guy.
There was no more access to the big guy.
How difficult is it to message this to the American people? Because we just came off summer, kids are in camp, people are out of school, parents are on vacations with their families. They see the headlines that Donald Trump's indicted. They see the bad news about Hunter Biden, but actually breaking through and messaging this so people understand what it is the inquiry is all about. How challenging is that?
Well, we always have to come back to what was it that Joe Biden has done in response? And when and we know from the laptop that Hunter Biden was engaged in some extremely serious and nefarious activities.
Right.
And again, I want to know to what extent is our foreign policy being dictated by a cover-up for Hunter Biden. You also have
talking
to,
about
again,
Ukraine.
the Chinese Communist Party, Kazakhstan again, and then you also just have to see what has happened in terms of the family, as you say. I think that we can get through to the American people because nobody likes corruption. Nobody wants to be corrupt.
Getting through the American people is not necessarily, they're not voting, right? So is the strategy get through the American people who will then lobby their Congress people to say, you got to vote for this? So it's the really traditional political pressure?
I don't know that it is political pressure. I think from my standpoint as an attorney, and I've been a practicing trial attorney for over 34 years, from my standpoint, it is putting the case together and following where the evidence leads.
Yeah.
I know that the Democrats want to deflect attention and say this is all political. It's not. The fact is we cannot have the very highest people in our government being beholden to foreign
It sounds
actors.
like, though, that you're assuming that the Democrats will look at the facts and follow the facts.
That's our job. Our job is to make sure that they do.
Based on polling out this morning, and we're out of time, but based on some CBS polling that just came out, it seems like it is resonating. 16% of the American people think that Joe Biden is fit to serve a second term. Only 26% think that Joe Biden is mentally fit enough to serve a second term. Those numbers are absolutely
horrific.
Stunning.
Stunning.
And we're 14 months away from Election Day. We'll see if Joe Biden's the candidate. Congresswoman, so nice having you in house this morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Wyoming Congressman Harriet Hagerman. We got a lot more to go.